Hi everyone, I'm Asheesh. I'm here with Shesh, who's a mentor, coach, and a personal inspiration to a lot of us to discuss what he does, why he does it, what made him do this thing, and just know a lot more about him. Shesh, tell us about what you do, who
Thanks,
you
Asheesh.
are.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of time explaining my background.
sure.
So I started off as an engineer. I spent about 9.5 years as an engineer. Then I moved into, becoming a manager.
Mm-hmm.
I spent about 9 years being a manager, and then what happened was I moved into the corporate leadership of a company, and so I spent the last 12 years or so, 12, 13 years as a corporate leader.
Right.
So I've been very fortunate, Asheesh, and we had great companies, wonderful jobs, really exciting jobs, wonderful teams, great bosses. So, on the whole, I had a fantastic career. I ended up as a CEO of 3 companies, and there again, one of them was a startup where I could build something from scratch and build a billion-dollar company. The second was a turnaround, a company which is very well reputed, listed company in Singapore, went bust and got bought over by a private equity fund, and then they asked me to step in. Within 2.5 years, we had turned it around and sold it for $650 million.
Wow, okay.
And the third one was a company which was going through a problem which they needed to transform and sort of re-trajectorize its revenue streams. So, each of them was a brilliant challenge and extremely rewarding and fun. So in 2018, sort of I looked back and I said, okay, I've been there, done that, After this, it's going to be repetition. So I retired. But more than that, I also wanted to actually spend the rest of my active life working with people and working with small startups and small companies to be able to give them guidance and help on how to manage themselves, how to manage their companies, how to be able to find what they're looking for.
So what triggered this? Like, why did you choose to go in this, let's say, the field of coaching, mentoring, and why startups? What was the thought process?
Right from when I became a manager, I started mentoring. Right. So in fact today, I started in 2000. Today, 11 of the people I mentored are already CEOs.
Nice. Okay, that's great. Yeah.
So these are the guys who joined me in 2001 as a management trainee and stuff like that. So that that gave me far more joy than perhaps clinching a $100 million deal. This is great. Yeah. And when one of them called me on, say, Guru Purnima Day or Teachers Day, I said thanks so much. Yeah. I think that was far more rewarding.
Yeah.
So over my career, I probably mentored about 400, 500 people. Right. Two different effects, not all of them successfully, but I tried to give as much as I could. Now why, if you ask why, there is another why, because one of the things is that when I was young, I didn't have a mentor.
Right, okay.
And I made so many errors, Asheesh. I made errors which I look back and I cringe. I made so many mistakes, silly mistakes. I didn't know how to deal with peers. I didn't know how to manage bosses. I didn't know how to deal with customers. You and I are from very well-known management institutions.
Right.
They don't teach you this.
They don't.
They don't teach you this.
It's not in the books.
I didn't understand the concept of branding myself. I didn't understand the concept of, being proactive about certain issues, about standing apart. So, I thought again, as I was mentoring, I realized that most of the people I was mentoring were exactly like me. They had no clue.
Yeah.
They were very good perhaps in their functional areas, but in the behavioral areas, in the soft skill areas, they were, they had no clue. Right. So I said, okay, let me spend my time explaining to them how they need to deal with teams, how they need to deal with in the corporate world, and then it became going beyond that, how to deal with themselves.
Right.
Because ultimately, all we achieve is largely, inside us. It's not external. It's mostly internal.
Okay.
So that's what I've been doing. So why startups? Okay. The 3 companies I worked with, and I created almost a couple of $1 billion for them across those the 3 companies. I created a lot of money for people who already had a lot of money.
Making the rich richer.
So one of the things I wanted to do, you see, when you're a startup,
Yeah.
right, you don't have access to
Right.
professionals like me.
Right.
And I'm not being I don't
No,
want to be
that's a
modest,
fact.
right? I'm expensive
That's a fact.
as a professional. You don't have access. So you tend to lose out on that capability. So what I thought was, if I'm able to step out of the corporate world and offer my services pro bono, so I do this all pro bono. I mean, whether it's mentoring of
That's great.
professionals or whether it's mentoring of startups, it's for me. There has to be a connect.
I thought I was the only one freezing time out of you. But there are more people like me. No, thanks
So
for that. Sorry.
I do this because it's fun.
Yeah.
But to be fair, out of 7 startups I'm mentoring, 4 of them have given me equity, right?
Yeah.
Just
Makes sense.
not me asking for it.
Right.
They've said this, which is great.
Yeah.
It's not as if it's going to change very much in my life, but I think it's like a guru dakshina kind of thing.
Makes sense.
But for me, this okay. Now what I see is let me show you one. Let me take you through one. Sorry if I'm talking too much.
No, please, yeah.
One startup, great guys. They are young. They're in the early 30s. They're all cricketers, and they've set up a company called Sports Kingdom, which is focusing on coaching students who like cricket and who want to become good at it.
Okay.
Now, why did they start this? Because all of them felt the same way, that when they were young and wanted to learn cricket, there was no structured coaching available.
Right.
So they went to coach somebody who called himself a coach. That guy would teach them whatever he thought was right. If they went to coach B, that guy would teach them what he thought was right, which would be completely different from coach A.
Right.
So they said this is not right. So they are trying to corporatize coaching. So they have set up SOPs, standard operating procedures, KPIs, weekly reviews and stuff like that. They've also created a fantastic app which allows students to be able to find coaches and coaches to be able to find students.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah.
So where the value unit which they are adding is this enhanced system of learning. So it's not just a connect. It's not just that there is a student who comes in and he chooses. So it's more than that. They also make sure the coaches follow their syllabus, follow their systems, and so deliver a uniform approach to coaching.
So there is some, let's say, oversight or hand-holding and,
Yes.
and that whole thing, or curation over there. Okay, that's
And they're doing an amazing job. They're there in Singapore. They're doing it in India. But they're fantastic at what they're doing.
So how do you engage with them?
The only time I played cricket, I was sent to the boundary line and told to set.
To bring the ball back. This is the 12th hand inning.
But the fact is that what I saw when they came to me, they came to me because they realized that they were very good at what they were doing, but they had no idea how to structure their company.
Correct.
They had no idea how to seek investment. They had no idea how to plan a strategy.
Yeah.
They had no idea how to make a budget.
Yeah.
The fact is that, but what I really struck me is that they knew that they didn't know.
That's the first step,
Yes.
right?
This is where I help. I help them in, help them putting together a budget, putting together a strategy, and they're fantastically fast learners. And in the last year or so, it's now you can see that it is almost a regular corporate.
Right.
It's running systematically. So they were doing their accounts in-house. I told them, please don't. I brought in a third-party accountant. So now their accounts are in order. They were also, when they were getting into partnerships, they were sort of giving away more than I thought they should.
Right.
So things like that. So I don't actually interfere in the product.
I understand.
What I do is help them basically in all the other aspects. So I deal with I help startup in sports. There's one in food. They're making idli and dosa batters with millet.
Okay.
There's one in fuel efficiency.
Okay.
E-commerce.
And how do these people find you, or how do you find them? How does it work?
A couple of them have found me through LinkedIn.
Okay.
A couple of them were introduced to me by a friend. So you knew someone who needed a mentor.
Yeah.
You knew me, so you connected me. So it is a couple of them are family, through friends and friends' families.
Yeah.
There's one young lady who set up this thing called Mayra Veda, which makes organic soaps and scrubs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I have no idea about the product.
Yeah.
But again, the idea is to help her structure, the idea is to help her incentivize the people she brings in, the entire digital marketing plan.
Yeah.
These are the places.
I think that's the most important thing, because like I can tell you from my experience also, when we started, we get so passionate about the idea and so much engrossed in it, we just go and jump into it, right? And then slowly, as the firm grows, as the business grows, then you're like, oh my god, how do I do this thing? And then suddenly you remember, hey, yeah, 20 years ago I started this OSPD course, I know message structure, that was the prof. What do I do now? I don't remember, I barely passed. That's what you do, right? You've forgotten everything, and then you need some real-time help and things like that. Fortunately, in our case, we have our venture investors who are pretty, I would say, hands-on and keep guiding us. And of course, people like you and our factors who can help us out. But I want to also touch upon, the role that, let's say, on LinkedIn or the blogs.
Mm-hmm.
So you write about a couple of subjects, but there's one core theme. So why that theme, and what's the whole?
It's all aligned. What I write is also what I speak about with my mentees and what I do with the startups. It's really about taking all the experiences and learnings that I've been able to pick up over the last 30 plus years and give them, pass them on as simple, practical approaches for people.
Yeah.
See, for example, one of the things which many of my mentees come to me and say, I was passed over for promotion, right? And this has almost every single corporate professional or employee has gone through a situation like this, where at some time or the other, she thought she should be promoted, but it went to somebody else, and they have no clue why.
Yeah.
And then, when you are in that situation, you don't see it. But you step aside and you look at what's happening, and you realize that while that person may have worked a lot and achieved a lot, what that person has not done is presented what they have done in a manner as to be seen and perceived and appreciated.
Right.
And so many of us do that.
Yeah.
We do a lot of stuff, but we are not perceived to be doing it. So making sure that you do is important, but as important is making sure you're seen to do.
Correct.
So simple, now practical things like this.
Yeah.
About networking. Networking, that is such a critical. I mean, I don't know whether you talk to the young guys in your company, and nobody thinks networking is important.
They're all on the TikTok, right?
I didn't think it was important when I was young. When you're young, you feel invulnerable, right? The world is, sort of your oyster.
Yeah.
But today, every success I have had, and you ask yourself, Asheesh, is because of the networks, it's the friends and the well-wishers and the people who, I know. I have not looked for a job since 2000, right? It just happened, one person who recommended to me to somebody else and so on and so forth. So just teaching people about networking. So I give them very simple exercises. I say, okay, how many people do you actually know whom you can pick up the phone and speak without having to send a message?
Correct. Yeah.
You won't believe it. The numbers are in the single digits.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I have 8,000 people whom I can send a TikTok message, but I cannot pick up the phone and speak to them. So, and it is so critical, because if, let us say, you're an aspiring professional, you're 30. If nobody else knows about you, how will anybody look at you as a possible candidate?
Yeah.
Right? Unless you are known, so let's say you are in JP Morgan, you want to be known by people in Citibank, and you want to be known by people in Credit Suisse, and it's the same with me. If I were working in one company, yes, I want to do well in that company, but I also want other people to know about me and know and believe that
self-branding, PR, whatever you must say, right?
So many. These are the simple, practical things I deal with in all my engagements. Whether it is writing the blog, CEO Chronicles, whether it is mentoring, whether it is with these startups. The startups, again, I don't know whether you went through the same phase, Asheesh. these guys get so involved in what they're doing
Yeah.
is that they stop meeting others.
True.
So I said, listen, you guys need to be seen.
Yeah.
You need to be going into these seminars and these conferences and
Correct.
these, these, what do you call them?
Those meets, the meet and greets that we have, yeah.
So I said, you need to be seen there because people, otherwise, again, how is an investor going to know where you are?
So I agree, that's there. But tell us more about CEO Chronicles. Is it going to be a book or is it a Netflix series in the making?
No. I don't know, a lot of people have been saying, can you make that into a book? Because I never thought of this, but they said, we remember an article which you wrote and we want to refer to it, but then I have to go scrolling into LinkedIn, into and stuff like that.
And find it
difficult. Is it can you please put it all in some place where I can easily refer to it?
I think it's a Netflix series. No.
So,
book is it's good, but I think Netflix series.
So the other thing is, people are saying, why did you do podcasts? On this. So there are different approaches I'm considering, but it's been great fun writing them.
Yeah. It's great fun reading them, by the way.
and all these are stories which
exactly. That's the beauty of it, right? It's not just some message and gyan and all that, because that becomes a little bit boring and monotonous over time. But the way you write it, it's engaging. So that's why I'm saying it's a series in the making.
Thank you. But it's great fun, so what I do is I write it and I send it to my immediate family, 5 or 6. And they give me their feedback, and then I do some editing, and then I send it out.
Please continue at it, and let me know if you can spread the word as much, because I think people do have to understand the soft aspects of life and business, which is very important for anyone to be successful. But it's great. I mean, I'm quite happy to see that people like you are doing these things. And I hope that you continue doing this thing and mentoring more and more startups. And hopefully some of those startups become unicorns.
So, yes, I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.